everybody. Hope you're doing great. I've got a surprise message for us. I'm going to be talking to my spirit guides today. I don't know what we're going to be talking about. I'm just throwing it out to them, and then I'm going to echo out what the conversation is. I don't have a topic. It just feels like the right thing to do. This month on Patreon, I've got a spirit guides theme happening, and I have a few live stream events happening this week. One you don't even have to subscribe to Patreon to participate in. I'm going to tell you what's happening this week, and then I'm going to chill out and see what my spirit guides want to talk about. Okay, so this Thursday, it's the 19th, from 1 to 2 Yukon time, which is Pacific time. On the support tier, you'd have to subscribe. I'm doing mini readings, okay? So come on into the webinar. Tell me in the chat, I'd like a mini reading. And then I'm going to tune in to a spirit guide, share a message with you. So it's an hour-long webinar. And I try to get somewhere between 5 to 8, depending on what I can do in 60 minutes. But this is an opportunity for you to get a reading from me. See what your spirit guide messages are. Friday, this is the Love and Light tier. 20th of September, 2024, okay? So this Friday, from 11 to 12 Pacific time, all right? Love and Light tier, it's a psychic development. This is where we gather in a Zoom meeting, we get to see each other's faces, and we learn how to journey. And this is a psychic development challenge, so we're gonna be doing spirit guide readings on each other because the theme is spirit guides, right? Now Saturday, this is open to everybody. This is from 2 to 3 Pacific time. I have a psychic mentoring student, Isaiah. And so Isaiah is taking on the challenge here of being present with the public. I'm hosting him here on my Patreon community to offer free readings for those people who would like to come. This is a Zoom meeting, so you can come on in the door. We're all going to hang out. I'm not sure how many readings he's going to be able to do in 60 minutes. But you should come out and support him, or just come out, be present. It's going to be a really nice experience. And you get to meet somebody who's new to the scene, sharing their own psychic talent to empower the world. So Patreon, okay? Patreon.com/Abbey Normal's Wisdom Quest. I'll put all the information in the description. So the announcement is complete. This is the part where I just sit down and relax, and I'm recording the experience, obviously. So I'm sitting down with myself here in a chair, and a cell phone, and a tripod, and a microphone. And that's what it takes to do a YouTube video, okay? And now I'm going to clear out my human mind, my human senses, because nothing that's human is going to be a part of my connection with my spirit guides, because I can't hear my spirit guides if I'm thinking about human stuff. So I'm letting everything go. Same for you too. Just let everything go if you want to hear what your spirit guides have to say. This isn't a human experience. You have to let go of the human experience, okay? That's what you do. So, okay. Spirit guides, I'm present. What is something of value here? Something of value that we can talk about together. It would be helpful to those listening in. What is it that you want to say? You're talking to me about when you slow down on purpose, but you kind of take the time to just almost let your eyes wander around your room and look at your belongings that you never pay attention to, and listen to some background noises like I'm running laundry, so I can hear the dryer in motion. It's kind of faint and distant, but I can hear it. I can also feel my heart beating. It's like things that you don't pay attention to when you're in motion, right? It's really being present in the physical reality while being quiet, just an onlooker of your own world. And sometimes when you take the time to just sit there and look at the simple things, you don't realize that it's been a long time since you built a relationship with your own world that you built. Okay? You might have a lot of knickknacks on the shelf. You put them there for a reason. Do you value them? Do you look at them? Do you cherish them? Do they just collect dust? They're just there. Why are they there? What is the reflection of your belongings that tells us something about you and the story of who you are? So you can see through this example, when we're in the day-to-day, it's like alarm clock goes off, we go into the routine, like snap into the routine and go. And we just keep going until we go to bed, and then we're still in the routine. We just circulate just like the dryer. Just goes around and around and around until we just stop the circulation for a minute. And we do something weird, like just sit there and let our eyes look around. Maybe listen to the hum of the air conditioning. Open a window and listen to the sounds outside. You know, it's interesting when you sit outside and you just sit outside and you look. The animal world is pretty entertaining. Like you can watch squirrels playing with each other. You can watch birds that notice the squirrels. You know, like the animal world is connected with each other. And we don't even pay attention to it a lot of the time because we're like the dryer. We're just going around and around in a circle. Now we do that in our day-to-day routine. We do that in our heads. We just do that, right? So my spirit guides are introducing us to this conversation. And I asked them, and maybe you know the answer already, so what truly is the value of doing this? Is it valuable to be in the routine and stay consistent with the routine? Is it valuable to stop the routine, step outside the routine, shake things up a little bit, shift the energetic flow by sheer willpower to sit in stillness? Like, let's talk about the value of this decision. You know, I feel like a lot of people know there's a right thing to do and they just don't do it. Like the right thing to do is 15 minutes of yoga. Just never break the cycle of the routine to just do that thing. And all you have to do is so simple. Just bend down and touch your toes. It's easy, right? Until it hurts, but that's just saying it's probably good that you practice this. Bending down and touching your toes every now and then, right? Building a relationship with your physical body instead of denying your relationship with your physical body to be in the routine, which is the most important thing, right? Now, stop the routine to sit down and watch some squirrels. Watch the birds, see what they're up to today. Sit down and just look at your living room or your bedroom. And when you start looking, you might actually look within yourself too. It's not just looking at the outside, at all these objects that you've collected for some reason that was so important that you might even put them on display, that you don't really pay attention to them. They're just there. And now you're going to pay attention. For some reason, this could be important. Now you look at them and it starts to take you within. It gives you other thoughts about who you are and why you are and where you are. Like what is your life story here? So why is it important that we do this? Why is it important? And how do we choose to make time for it? Like, how do we do it? If it's so important, then how do we do it? Okay. They're talking to me about what am I afraid of when it comes to breaking the cycle, like breaking a routine. Sometimes the older you get, if you can get into a rhythm, the last thing you want is for the rhythm to have a breakdown and to have a challenge. You want to be in the flow, so it's like there's no surprises, you're on top of it. You know what comes next. It's like a weird sense of control, right? And now, if you're watching this video, more than likely, and you're at this part, we're 10 minutes in here, so more than likely you have a sensitivity to the world around you, not just a human world, but a world beyond a human world. And so you probably are aware that energies shift. And when energies shift, you go through dimensional transformations. And one day you're like this, and the next day you're like that. And it's like, I just want to get back to the way I was just yesterday, but now I'm going through this dimensional shift. And weeks later, my whole routine is all messed up. And I just want to get back into the dryer cycle. Just get me back in there. Because it's comforting. It's comfortable. It feels consistent. It comes back to a thought I've had. And just looking at time, it's just a thought. Maybe it's true. It seems like there's reason to believe there's something to it, right? You could see how the human race, like we went through like 10-year cycles. Like you can look at the way music was in the 50s and people dressed and, maybe the attitude at the time. And then it shifts in the 60s, right? And then it shifts in the 70s. And we all can say, dang, the 80s, what a weird decade. But then it shifts again in the 90s. And now it's shifting here. And what is 2000? Like where are we at? What is this shift? 2000 to 2010? It's hard to put my finger on between then 2000 to 2010, okay, but then 2010 to 2020? Like what are the definitions of these decades? It seems kind of wishy-washy, It's so much constant change. I know there was a time, this was, man, when would this have been? Maybe 2010-ish, 2009-ish, somewhere in there. I started to notice that I was going through almost like I would recognize myself going through a theme over the course of a month. And I decided that I was transforming each moon cycle and to prepare to be a new me the next moon cycle. Like I was starting to pick up on this. And I missed the way that at some point in time, it felt like every day was kind of the same and it was familiar and it was consistent. You could build upon it. But because there was constant sense of change, I couldn't really keep up with myself, let alone know what tomorrow would hold or the next month would hold, because it was constantly like I was in a new story every single month. And I didn't want it to be that way. It just was that way. And then I started to notice it getting more like every 2 weeks I was in a new story. And then it started to feel like every day. And then it started to feel like multiple times in a day. And so something is weird about time and human evolution and on some cosmic level that we feel, maybe we can't logically assess it, but we can tell somehow inside ourselves that we're going through rigorous change every single day. And so if you can get in the dryer cycle of life and you could just circulate in there, that feels kind of good. And so now I have to break this cycle. Now I don't feel so good. And so my fear is, it's not really a fear so much as a resistance. The resistance to the constant change. Like I'm kind of tired of constant change. But I don't know. I guess that's a human life, right? I don't know. I just feel like, as the years pass, as a human being, and maybe it's Wi-Fi, maybe it's, like 5G network versus 4G versus 3G, like things are speeding up and we're being subconsciously affected by this or physically affected by this in ways that are incomprehensible. Then I do relate to because I've had so many experiences and I've pondered this for so many years, and I've questioned it and I've challenged it and I didn't want to believe it. But I really feel that the future is guiding us towards itself, that the future is already present, and then we are being molded and shaped into whatever that pathway is. But there's multitudes of versions of future, just as there's multitudes of versions of presents and pasts. And so what is time exactly? And where are we going? What is magnetically attracting us into a reality that we can't even conceive of as of yet? We are becoming that reality because we've already become that reality. So my lifetime now is actually in the past of a self that exists already in the future, that is guiding me towards myself. And the necessity of all these transformations is what guides me into becoming myself, which you can say is true. You are becoming yourself every single day through all of this stuff. And sometimes you just need to sit down and stop the cycle and just look at your stuff and listen to some background hums and watch the squirrels play. So I'm like waiting to hear what my spirit guides have to say about my little rant. We're kind of going back to the statement, so what is your fear? Is it really too much to sit down for 5 minutes? How many people do you see in the world that could use 5 minutes of 100% disconnect from the routine? Even 100% disconnect from, and this is true, this is powerful, okay? This is the best way I can define it. You disconnect from your name, from your labels. I am this age, I am a mother or a father, or I'm single, or I'm lonely, or I am depressed, or I am happy, I am like all the labels that we identify ourselves with. And you just disconnect from your name, from your age, from your appearance, from the fact that you're human. You just disconnect, just like I did to talk to my spirit guides. I shed all the layers, okay, until there's nothing left. And I just sit in the nothing left. And when you sit in the nothing left, you're part of the everything, basically. And when you're part of the everything, then you can start to connect with the magnetic inspiration of what is this message that I'm sharing with all of you. It's a magnetic inspiration for today's date and our collective that'll be watching this video, right? And so everything we do is important for the time. They could be important for all time, right? But when you do that, it gives you peace. It gives you peace. So me on record here making this video for all of you, and I'm doing this, it gives me peace to do this. It gives me peace. And you can give yourself peace too. So now spirit guides, the fear, do you feel like I have responded well to that sort of prodding, the importance of doing this? Is it important? And how do you hold yourself to doing such things? They're talking about how when you feel a discomfort, let's say you've been procrastinating on a task, it creates discomfort. And so you become numb to the discomfort, and then you ignore the thing you're supposed to be doing for as long as you possibly can, right? Because you don't want to break the cycle, because the cycle in some way is based upon the things that you've adapted to, that you accept. I'm going to do these things that I prefer doing over that thing that can wait a week, 2 weeks, maybe the rest of my life. Maybe I can get away with never doing it. It's like, why are we turning our back on that important task? Why are we procrastinating on it? Because we don't want to break the cycle, which then is our like clutchy hands, our attachment to the way we want things to be or the things that we want to do with our time. And we don't want that to stop, not for anything. But then we have to stop and we have to do these things. So they're kind of talking to me about the ultimate importance of this message is that you don't want to even be in a cycle of sorts. You want to just keep dancing through each day and not, okay. Okay. I'm just going to ask them a direct question and then let me see if I can formulate a very concise answer. How in the world do we not attach to, okay, I got to get up at this time. I got to get dressed and leave the house by this time. I've got to be, it's like these are so ingrained structures in our day to day. We are kind of attached without meaning to be. And then how do we break that up so it doesn't exist? Because these things are still essentially important because we have places that we gave a promise. Like I gave a promise to this company that hired me that I am going to be reliable and I'm going to be doing these tasks from such and such time. So we give a promise and then we hold ourselves to that promise. The company holds to us to that promise as well. So in some way, like, we're kind of held accountable for our dryer cycle life. Like, how do we not let ourselves feel an attachment? It seems almost like we would just naturally be attached to the rhythm that we're familiar with. And then these outside the box things that aren't part of the rhythm, they just switch and change everything up. And then we're tired and to work on this all night long and whatever. How do we just go with the flow? Okay. That's why they're taking me back to, you have to sit down and you have to just look at your life. When you don't want to stop, you stop. When you don't want to do the yoga, you do the yoga. And you don't want to do the laundry, you do the laundry. When you don't want to make that phone call, you make that phone call. And that's how you start to live in the flow. Not because you try to put it behind you in the past where it's always knocking on your door, but you welcome it into the present moment with you and you build a healthy relationship with it. With the things that are kind of like poking at you, like whispering to you. Hey, you know how we always said... ... 10 years later, hey, you know how we always said we're going to take that trip or we're going to join that gym or, we're going to call that person we haven't talked to in so long. You know how we always said, and it's still there and you're still procrastinating on it. Break this cycle, okay? And it starts with doing something simple. It starts with the beginning. You just slow down. You relax and you be the observer of your own life for a minute. Not associated with thinking about your life, but just looking at it from a distance. Just looking at your stuff. Just silently looking. Not thinking, just looking. And then listening. And even take some time to let go of everything that you identify as yourself. And become so simple that you become part of the nothing. Because you don't have to be responsible or associate with any identity or anything that you have to uphold right now for 5 minutes. It's not asking much. You just let it all go. And then you just sit there. Completely at peace. And eventually you have to come back. You have to bring it all back. But you gave yourself that. And you gave yourself that because it was good. And then you bent down and touched your toes and it hurt. But you broke the cycle and you gave yourself that because it's something that you need to do. And then maybe you break down and broke the cycle and you joined that gym or you made that call, right? Or you did your taxes you've been procrastinating on for a year, right? You did it. So is it so hard to break the cycle? Can it be adventurous? Can it feel really, really good? Even if there's resistance at first, you break the resistance, because when you break the cycle, you're starting to live free. And they show me the freedom that you will feel. Yes, you have promises you have to keep. But there's so much more to life than just being in the dryer cycle, okay? In the circulation. Because it helps you grow, it helps you become more animated, it helps you feel more free, it helps you even soak up joy and happiness and spiritual balance, mental, emotional balance. So that's basically the message. I'm going to ask them if there's anything else that's super important here. They asked me if there's anything else that's super important here. Okay. Let me see if anything comes to me. No, actually, no, I'm going to take ownership that this is the most concise I can express this message. Take the time and share something of value with all of you. Thank you for listening and participating. Join Patreon. It's an awesome opportunity to meet like-minded spiritual types, receive some good, wholesome experiences, grow and develop. A lot of stuff happens every single month. Patreon.com/Abbey Normal's Wisdom Quest. Also, I do individual sessions. You can book a session at my website at abbeynormalswisdomquest.com. Have a great day, everybody.